Good morning, Mr. George Foulkes.
Good morning, Sister Yvelyne. How nice to see you.
Yes, it's nice to see you. I'm very excited to have the world hear your story of how you got involved with the cause of canonization for our Mother Foundress.
I see in this course so many providential facts, both in the course and in my involvement. And this is what I'm going to share with you. I was working in the historical archives of the Archdiocese of Mexico City in 1985 in March, when I was asked to help in the Cause of Canonization. And I replied I was not interested at all, and that I didn't know Maria del Refugio, and I really wasn't interested in causes of canonization. But they were so insistent that they said, look, we only want you to accept for 3 months, and then you will say there's nothing, you couldn't find any documents, or there's no information about the servant of God, and then we, the tribunal, will be able to stop the course. So I said, all right, if it's only for 3 months, I'll do it. So why did they ask me to help in the course? And I see so many providential signs in preparing me along the years for this work. I started to work as an archivist in when I was 16, 17. Then I went into the National Archives in Mexico, where first I was responsible for location of Mexican documents of Mexican interest in foreign repositories, and then I was asked to work in. There used to be a department of ecclesiastical archives, so that prepared me very much for the kind of work I was going to do in the Cause of Maria del Refugio. At the same time, well, I also helped to organize the archives of the Office for Religious in the Archdiocese. Also, I had been a novice with the Missionaries of the Holy Ghost, the Mexican Foundation, and that introduced me to to experience religious life. And also I was working with another historian, preparing a guide to historical archives in Mexico. So that got me to get acquainted with many civil and church archives in Mexico. So I started working, and I thought, well, I've never heard about Maria del Refugio. I don't know the Mercedarian sisters. So how can I become acquainted with both Maria del Refugio and the congregation? So the very same day I was asked to, well, I accepted to help the tribunal for 3 months in my condition of archivist and historian. I left the chancery and I went to visit an old friend old friend, not only in years that we have been friends, but she was a very elderly person. So she was a religious sister. She was not living in the convent because she was taking care of her sister. So I went to see them and I told them, look, I've been asked to work in this course, and I was sort of joking about it and not taking it very seriously. And then this friend of mine said, whose course is it? So I said, Maria del Refugio Aguilar. And she said, oh, she's the foundress of my school, Blessed Sacrament School. And so that was the first coincidence, or I should say, providential sign. So I decided, well, let's start with an oral history program, interviewing people who knew her, because previously the sister had said they hadn't found any documents anywhere, so supposedly there were no documents. So I said, all right, let's start looking for people who knew her. So I had the very first day, my two elderly friends. Right. And then I said, well, you say there are no documents, so are there any biographies? So they had two very simple biographies. So I read the biographies, and there were few documents and chronicles of the houses in at the time of Maria del Refugio. So I said, well, I started reading these biographies to have to get an idea of who the person was, in order to know what to ask when I was going to interview someone, and at the same time to see if I could find names of people I knew. So one of the things was they had the very first book, or a register of the children who attended the school of the decade 1910, 1920. So I started going through the names, and I found several I knew, and some of them were still alive. So I said, all right, so we have few people to interview. And also I said, well, the first thing is to go to San Miguel de Allende, where she was born, and to verify if it's true that there are no documents there. So I went, and in fact, the civil archives were burned during the revolution, the parish archive, the parish priest said, look, yes, we have the papers, but apart from sacramental papers, I won't be able to tell you what there is, because it's not organized. So I said, no problem, I'll organize the parish registers, and we'll pay for everything. And so we bought the boxes, and he actually bought the furniture, and so I spent a week there, and it was frustrating because after a week I classified the papers, and I had an inventory of them. So I said, all right, it's true, there is nothing concerning Maria del Refugio besides her baptismal record and her marriage register. So I went to look for the parish priest. Well, to give him the inventory and to have him see how I had done the work. So when he came, well, I was waiting for him, and he was busy, so he took some time, and I was exhausted because I had been working from 7 to 7 a whole week, and it was very tiring. So I reclined on the wall, and this wall falls, and well, I was worried. And
It's always my favorite part of your story. Like you're laying on a wall because you're tired, and then the wall falls. Like what? And then it gets better.
And so well, I looked at what happened, and behind the wall had been kept documents in 1926, which is religious persecution in Mexico. So the parish priest of that time had hidden papers in order that they wouldn't destroy them. And so finally the priest came, and I told him, look, I'm very sorry. The wall fell, but look what we have. And so I said, don't worry, I'll stay whatever time is necessary to organize these papers. And these were loose papers, which is very, very rare. It's very seldom you find loose papers in parish archives. It's usually the books, sacramental books, and a few other things. So I organized the archive, and we found marvels for the history of Mexico, because San Miguel de Allende is where the war of independence started. And the parish priest in San Miguel de Allende was brother of the parish priest in Dolores Hidalgo. And Dolores Hidalgo is named like that because the parish priest was Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, who is the hero of independence of Mexico. So there was the correspondence between the two brothers concerning the War of Independence. So that was something really, for the history of Mexico, very, very important. And there were also Emperor Maximilian and Carlota, his wife, who visited San Miguel de Allende in 1866. So all the arrangements for the visit, and there were also cooking recipes of the 18th century, and so many, many interesting things. And what we were looking for, yes, we did find a few things. A list of children who attended a parish school at the beginning of the 20th century. Among them, Maria del Refugio's daughter, Maria Teresa. And we found a few letters of relatives of Maria del Refugio. One is from his brother to the parish priest, complaining about spiritual exercises Maria del Refugio attended in 1890, I think it's 96, and saying that because of these exercises, she had changed so much and the family was not happy. And letters regarding her marriage and many, well, several other things. So it was really very very interesting. So when I told the tribunal that I would go to San Miguel de Allende to verify if really there were no documents, so and after the findings, they decided to go to San Miguel de Allende and interview people who would have known Maria del Refugio. So they came along, and it's a small town, so word passed around, and the local radio transmitted the news that these priests were in San Miguel de Allende, and they were going to interview people who had known Maria del Refugio. The problem was that so many people appeared to depose, and they were people who didn't knew Maria del Refugio, but some didn't like the sisters, so they would give very not good testimonies, and or others would say what they had heard, but with no actual objective view. So this gave us, later would give us problem. And the thing is that at this time, I started working in March 1985. In September, we had the earthquake in Mexico City, and the chancery of the archdiocese was damaged. So the papers of the course were lost. So all these testimonies that few weeks, previous few weeks, the tribunal had collected in San Miguel de Allende were lost. So after some years, when the offices of the chancery returned to the building, I went to see what there was in the historical archives, and I found these papers of the course. So and I remember that the tribunal was very cross with me, and they said, "Why did you find this? This is only going to give us problem." So, and it did. But anyway, I continued visiting archives, and I continued interviewing people. So in the oral history program, there were several things. Well, before that, one of the very first things I did was to visit the mother house of the Mercedarian sisters. And I told the sister in charge, look, you have to give me permission to search all over the convent. So I'm going inside the cloister, and you must give me permission to look everywhere. Otherwise, I'll say I wasn't allowed, and the course will be stopped. So they said, okay, all right, so do that. And I started searching, and papers began to appear, and I found papers in most odd places, for instance, in toilets or in at a certain point, we had such an amount of papers that they had to build a special place for the for the archives.
Right.
So there we found the diaries of Maria del Refugio's daughter. So that was very, very useful.